Hi students, how are you all? Here, myself, Bipin Paul, welcome you all to the third chapter of your English grammar text. Dear students, today, through this lesson, we are going to discuss about sentence analysis. So, let us start. In this chapter, we are going to learn to divide a simple sentence into subject and predicate, then about the subject word and its attributes, after that about the predicate and the elements that can occur in the predicate of a sentence, then after this about the subject in a sentence, as well as direct and indirect objects, and finally the functions of a complement in the sentence structure. Let us start with the first topic, subject and predicate. Generally, each sentence can be divided into two parts as subject and predicate. When we speak about subject, the subject is the who or what the sentence is about, which means if we ask a question to the given sentence, who or what, the answer will be the subject of that sentence. In the same way, the predicate tells what the subject does. The predicate tells what the subject does in that sentence. So, it will be more clear through the following examples. Here, the first example is given here as Amy held a pencil. It is divided into two parts, Amy, and in second part, held a pencil. So, just like the definition that we have learnt, subject is the answer for who or what. If we ask that question to this sentence, who held a pencil? We will get the answer, Amy. Amy held a pencil. So here, this noun or naming word Amy is taken as the subject for this sentence. And just like if we ask about the sentence, what Amy does? So we will get the answer, Amy held a pencil. So this held a pencil or the action done by the subject is taken as the predicate here. So similarly, the following all sentences has been divided into two parts as subject and predicate. Johnny wore a hat. Here Johnny is the subject, wore a hat, it is the predicate. He looked happy. Here the pronoun he is taken as the subject and looked happy is the predicate of the sentence. The star is blue. The star is the subject, is blue is the predicate. He is holding a star. Here he is the subject, is holding a star is the predicate. The subject, it can be a single word or a group of words. And when we speak about predicate, in most of the sentence, the predicate starts with the verb of that sentence. See the following examples. The big green frog jumped across the log. So here, subject, it is not a single word, it's a group of words. The big green frog, it is a subject of this sentence. And predicate starts right from the verb, jumped across the log. So it is the jumped across the log is the predicate of this sentence. Similarly, in the following examples also, my sweet grandmother. This group of words are the subject here, wore a blue dress. It is the predicate here. The old shack, it is the subject here, blew over in the wind is the predicate here. So dear students, now let us move into the first exercise of our lesson. So it will be a quick revision for what you have learnt so far. Here the question is, circle the subject and underline the predicate in each of the following sentence. So what you have to do here, you have to make a circle around the subject of the sentence and you have to make an underline for the predicate of the sentence. So out of 8 questions given here, the 2 I have already solved here. So in the first case, the chirping of birds woke me up. Here the chirping of birds is taken as the subject, so that I have made a circle around the subject. And woke me up, it is a predicate of the sentence, so I have underlined the predicate. In the same way, in question number 5, the railway station, it is a subject here, so I have circled it. Was crowded is a predicate, so that I have underlined the predicate. So similarly, in the similar way, the remaining 6 sentences also you have to do yourselves. So remember students, an easy tips. Already I have informed you that in order to find out the predicate of the sentence, you have to first identify the verb of that sentence, because in most cases the predicate of the sentences begin with the verb of the sentence. So here in second case, all people have equal rights. Here the verb is have. So automatically the predicate of this sentence will be have equal rights and subject of the sentence will be all people. So in this way you have to do the remaining all 6 questions. Our next topic is subject word and its attributes. As we have already learnt that a sentence has 2 parts, the subject and the predicate. The subject may consist of one word or several words. This is what so far we have learned from the previous topics. When it consists of just one word, when the subject consists of only one single word, that word usually a noun, a pronoun or an ing form. So what is told here, when subject is given as a single word, usually this single word can be either a noun or a pronoun or even a ing form. So let us see through these following examples, it will be clear here. First one, Murali lived near a forest. Here the subject, a single word, Murali. It is a noun. So the subject is given here as a noun of a person. In second sentence, walking is good for health. Here the subject, walking. It is a ing form of word. And in third sentence, he himself said this. Here the subject he, it is a pronoun. This is what we have seen here. When the subject word is given as a single word, it can be a noun, a pronoun or an ing form. And when the subject consists of several words, there is always one word in it which is more important than the other words. The most important word in the subject is called the subject word or simple subject. The remaining words in the subject are called its attributes. Once again, the main word in the subject is taken as the subject word and the remaining words are called its attributes. So let us see the following 3 examples. The man stood at the door. Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, was assassinated. And third one, a rolling stone gathers no moss. Here in the first case, the man stood at the door. Here the subject is, as you see, it is underlined here, the man. The man is the subject. So here, man is the most important word in it. So we will take man as the subject word. And the definite article is the attribute to the subject word. Here in the second sentence, the subject will be Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. So here, as we know, the most important word is Mahatma Gandhi. So it is taken as the subject word, and the remaining words, the father of the nation, the noun phrase, the father of the nation, it is the attribute to the subject word here. And in the third case, a rolling stone, it is the subject of the sentence, and out of these three words, stone is the most important word. So we will take it as the subject word of this sentence. And a rolling, these are the attribute to stone. Here a, it is an indefinite article, and rolling is a participle adjective. Now let us move into the second exercise of the lesson. Here the question is, in the following sentences, underline the complete subject and then separate the subject word from its attributes. So it is a question. There are total 10 questions are given here. Like the previous one, I am going to tell you the answers for the first and sixth one. The remaining 8 questions will be there for yourself, for your practice. See the first case. The young man, anxious to impress, revised his answer several times. Here, as you can see, the subject is underlined here. The young man, anxious to impress. The young man, anxious to impress. It is the subject of this sentence. And here the subject word, as I have ticked, it is the most important word here, man. Okay, so in the first question, the subject is the young man, anxious to impress, and the subject word is man. And the remaining words, the young, anxious to impress, these are the attribute to the subject word. Like this, question number 6. Here, new clothes are worn on the occasion of festivals. It is the question, and the subject, as you can see here, it is underlined already, new clothes. Here, new clothes is the subject of the sentence, and the subject word is clothes, and its attributes the adjective new. So, complete the exercise yourself. Okay. Now let us more about predicate. Just like the subject, the predicate may also consist of one word or several words. When the verb in the predicate is an intransitive verb, note it down. When the verb in the predicate is an intransitive verb, it alone can form the predicate. There is no need of more words as object or something else. Just like given in the following examples. Here, dogs bark. Here, the intransitive verb bark itself is the predicate here. And here in second sentence, birds sing. Here, sing is the predicate. The clouds are gathering. Are gathering is the predicate here. They have been playing. Here, have been playing, only this verb is taken as the predicate here. And when the verb is a transitive verb, the predicate may consist of the verb and its object. Just like the following examples. Here, Birds build nest. So here the transitive verb build along with its object nest together consists the predicate. In second sentence, I know him. Here know him is the predicate. The cat killed the rat. Here the starting from killed the rat is the predicate here. He shot the partner. Shot the panther is the predicate here. And in the predicate, the verb may be qualified by an adverb or a group of words that do the work of an adverb. Either the words along with the main verb can be an adverb or a group of words that do the work of an adverb. This is called an adverbial qualification. See the following examples. The children waited downstairs. Here the word downstairs, the adverbial qualification is an adverb. Second, the children came home. Here came home is the predicate, and here home, a noun that behaves like an adverb of place. Third one, we work to earn. Here the predicate work to earn, and from the predicate to earn, an infinitive as an adverb of purpose. Here the infinitive to earn is used here as an adverb of purpose. And the toys in the room were in all shapes and sizes. Here the predicate is were in all shapes and sizes. Here the words in all shapes and sizes, this group of words, this phrase, a prepositional phrase doing the work of an adverb. So dear students, now let us move into the third exercise of the chapter. Here we have to read each sentence and identify the subject word and its attributes and the verb and its adverbial qualification. So the first answer I have solved for you. You can see here. Here in the case, the young Pragya played well. So here the subject is young Pragya and subject word will be, as you guess, it is Pragya, and its attributes young. It is an adjective. And question number B, for the same sentence, the verb and its adverbial qualification. Here we can say the verb is played and its qualification is well. So well itself is an adverb. So we can say the adverbial qualification is an adverb. So in the similar way, you can do the rest of the sentences yourself. And one more condition is given here in the question, that is, you have to write your answer in a table form. Make a separate columns for each one: subject, subject word, attributes, verb, adverbial qualification, like that. And you have to write the answers in its own places after making a box. I hope all of you understood. Now let us move into a new topic, the object of a verb. When we use a verb transitively, we need an object to make the meaning of the sentence complete. Transitive verbs need an object to complete their meaning. So when we use a transitive verb in a sentence, as we know, we need an object to complete the meaning of that sentence. Here, look into this given example. I threw the ball. Here the verb threw, it is a transitive verb. Suppose if we stop the sentence at I threw, it does not take a complete sense or complete meaning. If we simply write or speak I threw, it is not complete one. So we need something to complete the sentence. So we have used an object here, the ball. Now the sentence is a complete one. I threw the ball. So the object of a transitive verb may be as following. So it can be either a noun, a pronoun, or an adjective, or a participle, or an infinitive, or a group of words, or even a noun clause. See these following examples. Here in the first one, we flew kites. Here the object kites, it is a noun. In second sentence, a thief stole it. Here the pronoun it is placed here as the object. In the third sentence, ordinary people envy the rich. Here the adjective the rich does the work of a noun. In the fourth sentence, everybody enjoys singing. Here singing the gerund, a participle that acts as a noun. The cornered tiger tried to attack. Here the object to attack, an infinitive that does the work of a noun. In next example, Hina loves to bake chocolate cakes. Here the object to bake chocolate cakes, a group of words doing the work of a noun. And in the final example, do you remember what Ansari told us about this building? Here, the object what Ansari told us about this building is a noun clause. So, it is very clear from the given examples. An object of a transitive verb can be a noun, a pronoun, or an adjective, or a participle, or an infinitive, or a group of words, or even a noun clause. Our next topic is direct and indirect objects. Many verbs can be followed by two objects, a direct object and an indirect object. There are many common words which can take two objects. They are give, take, lend, buy, bring, fetch, get, and so on. The indirect object usually refers to a person. Note it down. The indirect object usually refers to a person and the direct object usually refers to a thing. The direct object can be a thing and indirect object can be a person. So there are two sentence patterns are possible. In the first case, let us say subject plus verb plus indirect object plus direct object. So this pattern is preferred when the indirect object is a pronoun. When the indirect object is a pronoun or when it is shorter than the direct object. There are two conditions are given here when the indirect object is a pronoun or it is shorter than the direct object. See the following examples. I lent him my camera. Here the indirect object, a person, him. And the direct object, my camera, it's a thing. So second sentence, she bought me a cup of tea. Here the indirect object is me and a cup of tea is the direct object. The teacher gave us some advice. Here us is the indirect object and advice is the direct object. And the second pattern will be subject plus verb plus direct object plus preposition plus indirect object. So here we are changing the position of direct object and indirect object. Direct object placed before the indirect object. But there is one difference. There will be a preposition added between the direct and indirect object like to, for, etc. And this pattern is preferred when the indirect object is longer than the direct object. See what is the condition given here? This second pattern is preferred when the indirect object, the length of the indirect object is longer than the direct object. See the following examples. I lent my camera to a friend of mine. Here the indirect object, a friend of mine, and direct object, my camera. Here the indirect object was a longer word than the direct object. So that is the reason it is placed after the direct object. Second sentence, same. She made tea for her guest. Here the indirect object, her guest, was longer than the direct object tea, and a preposition for is placed between the direct and indirect object. Similarly, the third example, the teacher gave some advice to her students. The indirect object, her students, and direct object, some advice, and a preposition to is placed between them. So dear students, now let us go through our exercise D. Here the question is, in the following sentences, underline the verbs and their object. Identify the direct and indirect objects if the verbs have two objects. So just like the previous exercises, here also we shall do two here, and the left you have to do yourselves. See the first sentence, Tara promised her friends a treat. So here the verb, as you can see, is promised. Two objects are here, her friends, a treat. So as you already learned, the indirect object will be a person. So we can say her friends, it is the indirect object here, and direct object will be a thing. So here a treat, it is a direct object. Similarly, in question number 4, Grace bought Kriti a new guitar. Here bought, it is a verb of the sentence, and a person, Kriti, is the indirect object, and a thing, a new guitar, is the direct object. The last topic of our chapter is about the complement. Intransitive verbs do not take an object. So already we have studied about transitive and intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs do not take objects. That is what we have studied. See the following examples. Fire burns. He sat on the floor. The old man laughed. Okay, in the first and third sentences, burns and laughed. After this, intransitive verbs, there are no more words. That means the sentence is complete itself there. But in the second sentence, we have used some other words to complete its meaning. So, some intransitive verbs require a word or phrase to complete the predicate and make sense of the sentence. So, what we understand from the second sentence, that some intransitive verb need either a word or a phrase in order to complete the meaning of that sentence. Such verbs are called verbs of incomplete predication. Listen, verbs of incomplete predication. Examples are is, am, are, was, were, become, look, seem, appear, taste, smell, grow, turn, etc. So it is very clear from the following examples. The earth is round, honey tastes sweet, the milk turned sour, he became a monk, the night grew dark. Here the intransitive verbs is, taste, turned, become, grew. These verbs need something else, some more words to complete the meaning of the sentence. In the first case, earth is. If we stop there, it is an incomplete sentence. So, we have added a word round in order to complete the meaning of the sentence. Here in the second case, honey taste. So, the sentence is incomplete. So, we have added a word sweet for the completion of the meaning of that sentence. In third case, the milk turned. The meaning is not clear there. But if we add the word sour, so the sentence now got a meaning. he became a monk. If you stop he became, the sentence, it will not become a sentence. It is a meaningless sentence. So in order to complete its meaning, we are adding a word, a monk. So these words added to the intransitive verbs in order to complete the meaning of that particular sentences. Such words here, round, sweet, sour, monk, dark, etc. Such words are generally termed as complements. Okay, these words are generally termed as the complements. Complements means the words that are used to make the incomplete predication or make the intransitive verb a meaningful sentence. When the complement of a verb says something about the subject, it is called a subject complement. See the example here. Susie is a writer. Here, a writer, it is a complement of the sentence. Here the noun writer is a complement of the verb is. As it says something about the subject Susie, it tells who Susie is. Susie is a writer. So it is the word writer, it is termed as here as a subject complement, since it is telling something about the subject. See more examples given below. She is intelligent. The house is to let. The child continued crying. She looked depressed, and so on. Here in all cases, the words like intelligent, to let, crying, depressed, these are the complement. So these words are used in order to describe the subject. So these complements are termed as subject complements. Transitive verbs have objects, but some transitive verbs require, besides their object, some complement to complete their meaning. Generally, there will be a particular object given to the transitive verbs, but in some cases, there needed to be added some complement other than the object in order to complete the meaning. See the following examples. The teacher appointed Charles monitor. They elected Ram their president. Frustration drove him mad. They named her Angel. All these sentences, already they have an object, like in first case Charles, second case Ram, third case him, fourth case her, etc. But even after the given object, we have added some complement in order to complete the meaning of the sentence, like monitor, president, mad, angel, and so on. So a complement which says something about the object is called as an object complement. Once again, a complement which says something about the object is called an object complement. The object complement can be of different forms, like in the following examples. It can be either a noun, an adjective, a pronoun, a participle, an infinitive, an adverb, a group of words doing the work of an adjective, or even a clause. Now let us move into the last exercise of our lesson. This exercise E. The question is, underline the complement in each sentence and say what kind it is. We have to underline the complement and we have to tell what kind it is, what kind of object complement it is. So there are 8 questions are given here. Out of 8, 2 I have solved here, and we will discuss, and remaining 6 you have to do yourselves. See the first one. This new book is very well written. Here the object complement is, as you see, I have already underlined, very well written. So we can tell it is a group of words doing the work of an adjective. So this complement, very well written, is a group of words doing the work of an adjective. Okay, you have to make it just like the above given verbs. And in question number 5, everyone looked happy. Here the complement is happy. So we can say happy is an adjective. So similarly, the remaining 6 are I am leaving for you. This is all about the lesson sentence analysis. Thank you for being with me all the time. It is me, Vipin Paul.